Hello, everybody. My name is Pete Bowers from Woodworks. I'm back here with another little orthographic fireside chat. Um, this time, it's growing from a great investigation that happened out of a science class in high school. Let me just share my screen here and we'll see what happened. So, I've got this little title, A Phenomenal SWI Investigation in this grade 9 class, and you'll see why I chose that word in a second. Francine had asked me to take a look at the word phenomenal. And as you've seen now a few times, if you've seen any of these other videos, this is the chart that I'm using as a way to kind of remind ourselves of the types of questions to ask to make sense of a word. Of course, what does it mean? How is it built? Relatives, morphological and etymological, and aspects of pronunciation. But here's what happened in the class. We started with what does it mean? So I asked the kids to share what sense and meaning do they have of the word phenomenon. And actually, it was there was a couple of things that were said. The idea of a kind of something to do with reality, something to do with it's a real thing. I was impressed that one of the kids said the idea of some kind of event, which I thought was a nice observation. So we have it with our kind of hypothesis in our mind. We jumped over to Etymological. I've pasted it here for ease sake, but it's easy enough to type phenomenon in there. And here we found the idea is exactly that they have been talking about, this fact, this real thing, and also they had said event, so occurrence popped up. That was kind of nice. The thing that I found, another thing I wanted to mention actually, so we see this, that which appears or is seen. It came from Greek, well, Latin, and then farther back from Greek. So that which appears or which is seen, which made sense to us. And then I noticed this little piece here I shared with the kids that it's the plural of phenomenon is phenomena. And so I just shared briefly these ways to show the Greek structure with an on suffix and an a suffix. Of course, this is in the Latin alphabet rather than the Greek alphabet that would have been used in Greek, but that's a story for another time. But the part that I found most fascinating here, which I was not expecting when I looked up the word phenomenon, was to see this word phantasm. Now, what I liked about this was that here we have we're in a science class, we're thinking in scientific terms, and we get this word phenomenon, and then here comes this decidedly unscientific sounding term. So if you click onto the red word in Etymological, it will take you to more etymological information. What Douglas is telling us here is that the word phantasm and the word phenomenon share the same etymological family. So they have some common root. And if we want to learn more about the root of phenomenon, we can find it by looking at phantasm because they're both in the same family. So you go there and now we get this big, long entry. And I thought I'd use this entry as a chance to show you how to read, how you can read etymological references. And this is any real etymological reference will use these same conventions, whereby the first thing listed is the earliest attestation that the authors can find for the word in question. So early 13th century, people were writing down, someone had found this word phantasm written in an English text. Notice the change in spelling, but it is considered the same word. This is Old French, and we see these things. But notice we have directly from all of these froms and directly froms are telling you we're going back in time. The farther back down the entry you go, the older you're getting. So what I did just to kind of make sense of this quickly is divide it into those pieces. So we saw phantasm from early 13th century. But that came from the Old French. And here we have this idea of dream, illusion, fantasy, apparition, ghost. This is the phantasm that I was thinking of with there. That came directly from the Latin phantasma. Now notice we have the F here and the PH here. So as it's going through the languages, changes are happening to the spelling. apparition, specter, that lines up with my idea of phantasm, with the ghost kind of image that I had. And then we go farther back into the Greek that grows into the Latin. And here we have image, phantom, apparition, unreality, and we keep going. That Greek came from the stem. I don't know how to say this, but I'll say it anyways. Phanian, to bring light, to make appear, to come to light. Notice, explain, all of these words don't have any of that ghostly connotation, in the sense that happened in other places. Now, when we go to the next part, it says from PIE root, and then we see this asterisk. Now, as I explained to the students and on a previous little video, this PIE stands for Proto-Indo-European root. And this is, now we're in the realm of speculation. Proto-Indo-European root is telling us this, we cannot use this information as any kind of solid evidence, because it was not, proto-languages not written down. There's just a hypothesis that many Indo-European languages seem to have some word that kind of sounded like this, that has this similar meaning. So maybe there was an earlier language that said something like this for this general idea of to shine. Here you see reference from Sanskrit and Old Irish. So all of these Indo-European languages seem to have some similarity, so people are speculating. But we're trying to do science here. This stuff is quite interesting, I think. But in terms of evidence from spelling, what I say is, once you get to this PIE and you see this asterisk telling us that this is a reconstructed spelling that never existed, this is the ultimate root that we are able to get. So we just pop that back here. And so now we see this as the ultimate root. And what I want to do is just give you a little heads up on how Etymonline works. I love this description by Douglas. This is a map of the wheel ruts of modern English. So we've been following this trail back. And notice, etymologies are not definitions. They're explanations of what our words meant in the past tense and how they sounded 600 or 2,000 or however many years ago. So what I want to do now is retrace these footprints, these wheel ruts left behind by the evolution of the modern scientific term phenomenon, although it could be used in other ways. And so here's how we've done that. First, we started with phenomenon, the noun from the 1570s, and we had this fact occurrence. Now that is the sense that the kids had in our class. And what we noticed, though, was that it had this root Fenian, and it told us to look for more information on that root by clicking phantasm. So we did that, and we get this early attestation of phantasm. But what's interesting, when we followed all the way back, we get this more scientific term that bring to light, make appear, explain, expound, inform. So the meaning of this word, as it's evolved through time, it seems to have started in this more with the connotations of the scientific types of concepts. But as it went through time, it at some points took on more of this ghostly, non-scientific sense. But now, then it came back to that. So I thought that was kind of a nice trail to follow. And we see that phenomenon is related to phantasm through this Greek root, phene. Now, so we can see that there is a link between these things. They both have this idea of appear, of light is in all of them. And so that's the underlying sense that we have. Now, one thing I want to do is take a look at what other words there are that we can find in this family. And so for this, I'm going to show you another great way to use Etymonline. I've just copied this original root, and now I'm going to go over to Etymonline, and I'm just going to paste that root in the search engine. And now and this is actually the main part that I did with the kids. I've already spent more time in this video than I did in the class, because this was a science class. They had lots to do. I was just kind of jumping in and giving a sense of this word. And one of the main things I did was quickly found the root, pasted in here, and we started to look at some of these words. And this gave me the ability to build something that I did with the kids, which is this. So I've made this oval here, this oval shape, to represent members of the same etymological families, which means they're words that share the Greek root phoneme. That way back in Greek meant to bring light, to make appear, all of that science sound stuff. Now, the word phenomenon is in that family, so it gets to go in that oval. But of those words that I found, we found a whole bunch of other scientific terms: diaphanous, tryptophan, phase, photic, phosphorus. So one thing we're seeing here is how this little investigation starts to give kids cues as to how to see meanings in all the kind of scientific terminology that they're going to encounter. At least they have this sense of light and such in these words, and they may be able to go deeper than that. Now, we also found the surprising and lovely thing, I thought, was finding phantasm and fantasy having a connection to the same root. Now, these aren't the scientific terms, but they still share the same root. And then we found other words that I thought I just loved seeing epiphany there, the light bulb going over your head and such. And I also love this word defenestration, which is just a wild one. And we asked if people figured it out how to do with window. And how does that have to do with the window and light and all that? And emphasis, shining light on an idea. So as we see, we can not only deal with the science, but we find other words and get the sense of how words, their meanings that they've had over time, the related words. And a science lesson has just built not only scientific vocabulary, but vocabulary for any area. We could do more with this, but I'll stop here and hope that gives you a sense of the way words change meaning change their connotations over time. But all of those connotations still go back to the underlying denotation that we find when we go to the root, and this meaning is echoed in all of these words. Thanks.